out on the balcony and I see him the SS with the helms and with the machine guns, so I knew right away. So I ran down to the basement, hiding. The noise, and the kids, had no value, you know. So I say, what am I going in there? There's no reason. So I remind myself about the attic. I ran up to the attic, and there was a metal door and a heavy locker. I got cold, but I didn't give up. I gave up a few smacks backwards to the door. I succeeded. I opened the door. The attic is completely empty. It's a big attic, it's an apartment house. But empty, there is nowhere to hide. So the door opened up towards a wall, a little wall. I stepped behind the door. They came up, they looked, and they went. I was sitting in the attic 2 weeks. And I was cooking myself food. I went at night down and looked in the house, you know, to prepare something, and I cooked. 2 weeks later...
What did you have to cook with up there in the attic? You took some stuff from
the house.
From the house?
From the house.
Took it up to the attic with you?
Yeah, on coal. Mm-hmm. 2 weeks later, a few guys, they left a few alive there to clean up what they want from the houses. You know, clothing, parts, whatever, food. So they came up to the house. So I got out, you know, slowly and looked the faces. And I asked them for the guy, if they noticed the guy who took from me the money, who was supposed to send my father.
The middleman.
The middleman. And he was a neighbor of mine. Before the war, right. I knew the whole family. He says he just went into the office. So I risked my life, and I ran over to him. And I'm telling him, listen, I gave you the money at night. I didn't came for the money. I came to you to give me charity for a couple loaves of bread. The first day as I came over, I am going to volunteer to my father. So give me charity for a couple loaves of bread. He took a dirty look at me. He says, I gave away your money. I have no money. I didn't ask you for my money, I say. Just right away I disappeared. I was afraid he'll call the police. I ran away. I ran away back on the attic. And at night I went to my father. It was 10 kilometers.
6 miles.
Yes. And I was lucky that he accepted me because somebody ran away. So he needed to have the figure. If not, he would shoot me. That's the way it was going on there. So anyway, being with my father 2 weeks, working there, we both got sick of typhus. So I figured this is the end. There's no more life. Tomorrow they send me back to the city and they put me in the hospital, in the Jewish hospital.
Back in your hometown?
Yes.
Well, it was a former Jewish hospital because there were no
more Jews.
Right.
Yes. So we are sitting there, we are laying there for 3 weeks. And I started already walking by holding down to something, because I was weak, you know, typhus. Finally, my father says, report yourself to pick you up and go back to the camp. I say, how about you? He says, well, I don't feel I can go. So in the echo was already that you're going to liquidate the hospital. Anyway, I left, and I told my father, I am going back to the concentration camp, but I'm not going to sit there. The minute I feel better, I'm leaving, and I'll be in this area. You could find me there. So I never seen him back, but I did run away from.
Okay. You left your father in the hospital, you never saw him again?
Never saw him again.
While you and he were in the camp, what were you required to do? What kind of work did you do? What was the...
We were digging stones in the forest, in the woods.
In the woods.
Yes. So by coming there back to work, I was lucky. I worked in a group which I never knew that kind of work. I didn't work. There was old-timers, you know, but they were already a couple of years in the concentration camp for one to the other, you know, shipping them. So they noticed that I can work, I'm weak. They said, do the best you can. We'll make you a norm too. We won't be behind. So I happened to like the guys, you know, when they express themselves so nicely. So I trusted them, and I asked them if they are willing to leave the place, because I have a plan to run away. And they said yes. But you know, our people, there was 800 people. It was a small place. And it was no fence. It was 5 minutes to the forest.
From the camp?
From the camp.
But you were guarded, and you were in barracks? Or did you live in...
We weren't guarded yet. We had only the Jewish police. It was a pleasure camp. Well, not mentioning by Hitler,
right.
But you follow me why I said that.
Comparison.
There was comparison to
Right.
other camp. He had his Michigars too. There was one German. And you know, if they had to give somebody certain whips, so the guy asked, the German was there. The guy asked the German shall give him, not the policeman. Because the German it didn't hurt as bad as the Jewish policeman. Can you imagine? They could have run away all without, they could be ashamed to be left over with nobody.
But you, the people there stayed because they were living, they were protected while they were in the camp.
While they were in the camp.
And they received, how was the food?
The food was poor, but...
But it was food, it was enough to...
Poor. Enough, there was no such a thing.
Okay.
But they were buying. They had freedom still. They were running out to the village. There was a little city very close. They were running out and buying stuff. Yes.
Quite
It is.
unusual, but
Yes,
I can understand
it
the
was
situation.
an unusual place. So, by running away, I took alone 2 guys. It happened in that time, the quitting time, it started raining. in the rain. Otherwise, we had to go pairs together in order. But as long as it was raining, everyone was running his way. So we ran away in the side, and we left. So a third smelled. I talked to two guys, but a third smelled something. And he followed us slowly like a guilty dog. He was scared, but he... So the two guys went over to him and tell him, go to the cab. Otherwise we'll kill you right here. You don't belong here, and go there. So I stepped over and I said, listen, I didn't promise you no room and board. And whatever's going to happen with us will happen with him. Let him go. So we went all three. The three guys, we had by, to go there, I would say by 15 kilometers. To the destination where,
10 miles, right.
where I had a mine. And we came over just to the village, to that village, we came over. So I would say, if you know what I'm talking, between Mincha and Marev. You follow me?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Between day and night.
Right.
As we came out from the forest, two guys, Polacks from the village, came from cutting the hay with those big, you know, knives like this.
Size.
Oh, you call it? They noticed us. I was lucky that I didn't go right the first day. I separated from them. Because I was the only one dressed sharp. And that guy, they measured us up. Next day, he was waiting on the same spot. And he got a hold on the tree, but I wasn't there already. And he asked, where am I? The fourth one. They didn't know. They would tell him, but they didn't know. Anyway, he tried to put him the knife, when they cut the grass, and dressed him nude. Tell where the fourth guy is. They put him in it was near a well, a deep well. They put him in that well, cold, you know, in the summertime. Just tell him where I am. So by fighting this way, one ran away. Nime would kill him, but as long as one ran away, he didn't. He went into the village, and the people dressed him right away. And then the other two came too. But that was nice of the people.
Now these guys, were they Poles or were they?
Poles.
They were Poles.
Poles. Yes.
But when he ran to the village, the people in the village took care of this.
Took care of right away.
And is it from him that you found out the story of what they did?
What they did, yes. Next day I bumped into him in the forest. So Sunday, the priest was in the church, and he gave him hell. If you can't help him, don't do harm to them. You don't get paid for it. You're not working for Hitler. Anyway, I'm telling you, it was a pleasure to hear that a priest, because the majority of the priests were also bastards.
Right. So he gave hell to the two guys that...
No, he gave hell to all people, not the two.
Okay.
He didn't know who the two are.
Gave it to them all, but he had reference
all of
to them.
Reference to them.
Right.
What happened? Yes. So anyway, what I want to bring out is how things could work out. I live here. I bumped into a cousin of mine in the forest. And also an uncle with his wife and a child of 3-4 years old. Well, the uncle I seen already, only one time, as I bumped into him. In fact, the cousin, that was his father. But he couldn't get along with his father and stepmother, was a stepmother. So he wanted to be with me. So we are together.
In the forest?
In the forest. And at night we sleep in the village, somewhere on the hay, straw, you know, in the buildings.
Where did you get your food?
We got food from the God. They gave us.
From the villagers?
Villagers.
Okay.
Yes.
Polish
people.
We
prepared, and then we took a lot from the gardens at night. I went through in daytime. I walked around in daytime too, because the Germans were afraid to come into that village. It was a long, muddy roads only, in big forests.
Do you remember?
They were afraid.
Yeah. Do you remember the name of the village?
Yes, I'll mark it down.
Can you tell us on the tape?
Yes. The village was the name Huta Pieniacka.
Okay.
Powiat, the city where they belonged, that village, was brought there.
Okay. How far away approximately from where you lived originally?
That must have been to the city by, I would say, by 20 kilometers.
Okay, about 16
Yes.
miles.
Yes.
And tell us approximately what the time frame was. Was this now in 1943?
43.
43, right. All right.
Yes. So we are preparing at night the food, and early in the morning we went to the forest. And we had a spot where I used to cook. I had a container from the army, aluminum container, 2 containers. While being there, I walk into one guy, and he says, he calls me out to a little storage room. And he introduces me a boy. He says, I got him here, I'm afraid to keep him.
How old of a boy?
He was 20-some, 25, 26 years old. A beautiful man, well dressed, and he was already a dentist. He was from the city where I was in concentration camp, Sasov, as I mentioned, right. Sasov. So anyway, he ran away and he got him. He says, please take him. I took him along. And he was with us. As we go every day to the village and prepare food during the night, and then early in the morning we go back to the forest, and I'm the cook. I cook the food. But the mostly 80% of our food was the real mushrooms. Do you know the value of the real mushrooms?
No, I don't know.
Because you buy here mushrooms,
yes.
you know, for $1
right.
a pound. No, those mushrooms in that village, they used to dry them and sell them. It was now, the Polacks are coming for to, and some of them bring him. So they charge $25 a pound, dry mushrooms. Anyway, we picked those real mushrooms, and I cooked them the proper way. It was better than the best steak. So I cooked 1 container mushrooms and 1 container potatoes. One morning, and I was always, the cousin and the other guy, he took a nap. They lay down. And I cooked. And the food is already finished, cooking. I was sitting always by a tree, leaned over to a tree, you know. It's easier to sit.
Mm-hmm.
And as the food is cooked, I fell asleep. In that moment, I am dreaming that I am sitting in a freight car on the train. And I am scared because that car was the last wagon, the last car. And she got loose from the transport. And I am scared that if the car will hit someplace, I'll get killed. And this, the mother, my mother, tells me, don't worry, nothing will happen to you. Just keep yourself towards the wall. This is not a joke, you know.
No,
This is something. And this, they start shooting at us like hail.
In your dream?
No.
Oh.
The shots woke me up.
I see.
The shots
While you were dreaming, you were hearing
But
the
I
shots.
was dreaming.
Okay.
Yes. Woke me up, and I'm running. But right a few steps, there was a hill down, you know, and I fell. Scratched I didn't know him, and I'm running. I don't know where I'm running. How lucky I was that I didn't run towards them. I ran a little while, and then it came a field road. I mean, in the forest, a road. My cousin was already about 15 minutes away from me. And he noticed me. So he waited, and I came over, and he sees blood. Oh, he says, you got a bullet in your forehead. I say, you mean with a bullet I still could run? So it was after a rain, I went over and I cleaned it up. He says, no, you're okay. So I came out from there. There was a pasture in between the forest and the village. The kids were had cattle, you know, they were passing. I'm asking the kids, tell me, who went this direction? He says, 2 policemen, Ukrainian police, and the man, the gajowy in Polish, the man who is in charge to watch the forest. There's always a man.
Right.
We never see nobody, but he probably seeing us. He didn't say nothing, he brought the police. And the kids seeing, they were shovels, they were going ready to bury us. But the third one, what I said, that guy, he got up and he was standing stiff.
That's the fellow that was the dentist.
The dentist. They asked him to pick up his hands. He didn't budge. The man was stiff. He knew he's not going to live, I mean, right there, but. So they shot him. Next day.
How did you find that out? Because you already ran away. You and your cousin had run away.
Yes.
How did you find out what happened to your cousin's friend, the dentist?
He was with us.
Yeah,
they shot him right there.
But you had run away.
I ran away, but they shot him.
But you saw him being shot?
I didn't see him.
Or you heard it?
But
you heard it, okay.
next day, I went over. I happened to have the dishes. I wanted the dishes. I came over. I looked at the tree where I was, you know, leaning over. But that much higher, a shot was the tree, had a hole.
Bullet hole?
Yes. They were looking to the head. Because they are afraid, you see, in the forest, they are afraid for themselves. They don't know, maybe I have a gun, you know, and I'll shoot them. So they are very careful. So anyway, I went through. Leaving here, I mean, we continue the same thing, just in a different place. So I left this place, I went over deeper, and me and my cousin, we digged out a deep hole. It was before the winter, it was still summer. And we made a bed there, with leaves, and fresh leaves, you know. Not fresh, dry leaves.
Dry leaves.
And one day, we are there about, we're taking a nap. A guy sticks in to the opening the rifle. Get out. So I figured this is it. Get out. The two Polacks, the same, but they attacked those 3 kids. They are going around looking for bargains. And the minute I came out, oh, this is you. You see, when I found out from the guys that he is looking for me, he wanted me, I knew right away that he wants my clothes. And maybe he thinks that I have money too. So right away I took the clothes. I mean, mainly was the coat. I have a beautiful coat. So I went over to a guy, I said, give me an old coat. Just, and have this one. So the same guy, but I was torn, that was the goodness. If he would be alone, he would shoot us both, me and the cousin, because he was looking just to kill people. A Polak. It goes away a few months. I go in the early morning, on a Sunday morning. I told you about it. The first house in the village, in a different direction, I was never there. Coming to a woman, and she just got out potato kugel, fresh, from the big oven. She chopped it up. They knew right away if a Jew boy comes in, he's hungry, he wants food. She mixed up cottage cheese with sour cream in that potato kugel. I ate.
It was heaven, huh?
Ah. And then it's not enough. She brings me over a plate of pierogi. You know what pierogi is?
Yes.
And they were better, you know, today they can make pierogi over here. They haven't got the ingredients to put in, but they used to. Anyway, I finished. And I got up and holding the doorknob. She says, tell me, she knew my name. Guttman, how you been? I say, what you asking? Honey, is that alive to live in the forest? It's snowing, it's miserable. She stay with me. So I had to put an act. I say, you are hungry, you have 2 kids, you are a poor woman. I say, do you need another man to feed? So I didn't ask you, but I am eating, you will eat. I didn't let the woman touch nothing at the farm. I did the whole work. And I'm making whiskey, too.